Come on. Oh, let me get the water bottle out of the way. I need to get this camera set up properly. What's up, everyone? Kaiju no Kami here. I'm just waiting on Corelica.
Impatiently waiting.
Yeah, impatiently waiting. Because she's taking forever. Forever.
Just so you know, most people are in commercials, so you're being obnoxious for nothing.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh. Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a great day. Hi, Anthony. Hi, Star Wars fan. I know this was kind of spur of the moment in a way, but he wanted to do this today so that we could at least get up to date
on Ultraman arc, and we didn't have to do it during the week when you've worked.
Yes. Well, in entirely too true fact, he is a terrible live streamer when he's watching something and he has to share his attention to watching as well as engaging with the audience. And at the same time, he also hates when I engage with the audience while we're watching something because I'm interrupting his viewing. It's a very vicious cycle that is pretty tragic. But we are here. That's the fun part. And so we have watched 3 episodes.
Yep, episodes 3, 4, and 5. Which, interestingly enough, worked because since episode 3 was a flashback of how it all started, it kind of worked out that we ended up not watching that for a while before we got to it. But I will say it did take me a moment because we've been watching Ultraman Taiga. So we've got through 14 episodes of that. So when we started this episode of Arc, I was like, wait, where's Kana? And oh, wait a minute. Wrong Ultra series.
Well, admittedly, when I saw Yuma wake up in bed and stand up, I'm like, who is this kid again? Because admittedly, it's not like Taiga's actor is significantly older than Yuma, but it was still jarring just because it's a brand new series. And having taken a couple of weeks off,
well, also I was like, Yuma. His name's not Yuma. Wait, yes, it is.
Well, and for me particularly, I was part of the reason that we did have a delay because when we would have watched episode 3,
you were in Texas.
I was in Texas for work, and then when I got back to Colorado on that Friday, basically Friday and Saturday were busy. Sunday was my first day of technically doing nothing. And then I had to go right back into work. And having been out of town for a week, even though I was still working, I wasn't doing my normal day-to-day work. It pushed us to miss doing the live stream that Tuesday. And since the newest episode airs on Fridays, we figured, why not just catch up on all 3 of them?
We'll just do all 3 and then talk about them after.
Exactly. And so definitely a little bit of a change to the norm. Maybe I personally think we should watch the episode on our own and then record. That way, we
don't lose the ad revenue to Subaraya?
Well, there's that. But then at the same time, I'm actually thinking about the fact that you are, once again, terrible during live streams because when we're watching something, because you just want to focus on watching.
But hey,
and people do not want to sit there and just watch your facial expression when you say nothing.
Well, I do say something if like there's a good.
Yes, but nobody's tuning in to watch your facial expression.
Why not?
Unless we're watching G.I. Joe, Rise of Cobra, or Jonah Hex live action.
Oh, that's just dirty.
Then people will tune in for your facial expression. But outside of something significantly terrible like that, people just want to see your thoughts, not just watch your face. So,
but isn't that just as fun as well?
Having been in a relationship with you for more than 20 years, nearly 24, I can absolutely say no.
You're mean. Anyway.
But I will say, watching these 3 episodes and having a little bit of a break, especially because when we initially heard the title of episode 3, we had actually thought slightly that was going to be almost like a clip showy. I thought, for some reason I swore we thought it was going to be a clip show.
No, you're thinking of episode 13 of Taiga.
Oh.
Because when I said, let me read you this title, I bet it's a clip show, and you're like, hope not. And then we watched, it's like, it really is a clip show.
Okay.
But it wasn't the worst clip show.
But nevertheless,
anyway, yeah,
for ARC, episode 3, I think what I really liked about it is it didn't necessarily fully tell us how he became an Ultraman, but at the well, can I finish my thought?
Okay.
Please, Kanye?
Okay.
But anyways, while it gave
I'm going to let you finish, but...
While it didn't... yes, it told us how you saw the shadow of an Ultraman and stuff like that. But, I mean, you didn't see him literally, like, die. Because many of the other Ultras die and things like that, and they save them. But it gave it to us in a way that you really got a full backstory for everything. For how the series started with episode 1, why he is the way he is in a way, and why in a way the Ultra doesn't necessarily talk to him in transformation. Because when we've had other series where the Ultra doesn't talk, we usually find out they're either a reincarnation or things like that. And then
well, it's also because you're used to the Ultra talking in these new series. See, in the older series, you never had any of that. The Ultra would talk, like, at the beginning, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to resurrect you because you died. And then that was it. That was the only time the Ultra would really talk the entire series.
Well, it is very different because, yes, I really have cut my teeth on more of the modern Ultraman shows where the relationship is very different. But I have been enjoying this because just like within Blazer, you get this creative relationship between him and the Ultra, especially for episodes 3, 4, and 5, because when he thinks about like what move he should do or anything like that, you actually see him like with the head movement and things like that, legitimately thinking. So you know it's technically Yuma in there, not somebody else that he is transformed into, like Taiga, for example. Because when he transforms into Taiga,
it's Taiga's personality.
Taiga or Titus or Fuma.
You said it wrong. Tight ass.
I'm just going to go with Titus. But anyways, it's a very different way of looking at it that I've been enjoying because the fear I had about having someone super young, and when they said, when you do the math, because it was 16 years ago and he was 16 years ago, and like he's in his early 20s, The man looks like he's about 16. He looks hella young. 16 years ago was when Mono Galdos.
No. 10 years from 16 years ago is when kaiju first appeared. 10 years ago.
She said 16.
16 years ago is when the kaiju first appeared. 10 years ago is when Yuma lost his parents to not Zetan.
But I took it from the way it was subbed in the episode that it was all 16 years ago.
I took it as that it was 16 years ago when kaiju first appeared, and then 10 years ago was when Yuma lost his family from the monster.
So, either which way, I actually expected a very immature, like significantly immature main character.
Well, either way, so episode 3, I really liked that one. I liked the backstory. I enjoyed, like I said, the monsters in that look like, kind of remind me of Zetan in their design, especially with the yellow in the middle that's got a light going up and down it. I liked how the first one had a single horn.
Yes, kaiju horn. Stuck in mono horn is the actual kaiju horn that was stuck in the ground since an incident 16 years ago.
That doesn't jive with how old he is.
But we're assuming, like, he looks young, but many younger Japanese.
He looks no older than 1920.
He's 23 years. The character's 23 years old. So I was correct.
Huh.
And the actor playing him is 24 years old.
Oh.
He just looks significantly young.
Must be the hair.
Most likely. That bowl haircut, looking like the Beatles haircut style, is super. So I was correct.
Recently have had that type of hair, which is.
I was correct. Booyah!
Okay.
Why can't you let me gloat and actually, like, be like me when
I was gonna say because I'm not
gloat.
you. Anyway, but I liked that aspect. I liked the when the second one came and he had 2 horns.
Yes.
And I liked the whole sequence when he's battling Ark, and you have you get to see not only the perspective of the city, but this perspective of all these different cameras that are recording the event going on. And then you have one recording as Ark falls directly into the building, destroying the camera, and it cuts back to
the main,
essentially real time, which was pretty cool. Episode 3 right now is my favorite of the 5.
I will say episode 3 is probably my favorite as well of these 5 episodes, mainly because it really gives you more background on the world building, which I like. But
and again, the battles were really cool.
Finding out, though, between episode 1 and episode 3 to episode 1, that timeline was only 3 months. Which is pretty impressive. Because at the end of episode 3, when he's talking to Coffee Dude, which is what I'm going to call him. Maybe I'll call him Starbucks, but...
Coffee Bean? Star Schmucks.
Star Schmucks, yeah. When he's talking to Star Schmucks, and Star Schmucks says that it's only been 3 months.
Oh, yeah, okay. For some reason, I was thinking 6 months.
I was like, wow. That's a lot of... If you think about how he was introduced and how the other characters were introduced to 3 months later, you actually get to see something very subtle in a backwards perspective. And that seeing, even though it's off screen, their character growth. Thinking about where they were 3 months ago to now and how they're a cohesive team as they are is very impressive. I actually really like that because many times you don't get that backwards demonstration of character development.
Well, I also like, though, when he says to Star Schmucks, oh, on your way, we're both on our way to the school work. Like, okay, dude, the whole joke just flew over your head.
In all honesty, it actually flew over mine too. So,
All right, now episode 4, on the other hand, I found this episode to be really boring.
episode 4. The fact that they're trying to go after Splinter really bugged me.
Oh, you dirty rat! You killed my brother! Oh, you dirty rat!
I still remember in the movie when he turns around after going through that whole spiel and seeing Splinter right there, and Splinter just rolls his eyes and turns around and walks away. I'm like, yes, that is such a dad move. But so I actually did not like episode 4. I thought episode 4 truly was filler. Like,
we got a little bit of development for the one girl.
For Rin, yes.
But yeah, the whole episode was pointless. The monster was kind of boring. And I think the problem is the electric monsters have always done that. They've done the same plot with an electric monster before.
Mm-hmm.
That this one had nothing different except for the fact that he was plugged in, so he had a distance he could only go to for a little bit.
Well, I did like when he got, because rats, sadly, while they're very intelligent creatures, and that was the one frustrating thing I will take from this, when he started growing into a giant monster, I was like, is this saying when they grow big, they become dumb? Because the reason why, sadly, that rats, just like apes of any sort, are used for animal testing is because they demonstrate, in human perspective, similar intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of disappointing that he became so dumb, for example, when he got big, because when he was twisted around by the cord and was stuck, I was like, any rodent I've ever seen would have problem solved the shit out of that to have gotten themselves out. So I did feel like it was a very generic fight. It wasn't bad, but it was incredibly generic.
I didn't feel like this also, that Ark really earned his armor in this episode. Because there was no need for armor. I don't even know what the armor really did. It just appears, and then he beats the monster, and the armor disappears. Like, I don't feel like he earned the armor. I don't feel like that they needed armor for this episode. I mean, for one thing, they could have gone into is, given that their bodies look like they're made of rubber, that he was immune. It should have been he was immune to the electricity.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
It's like, oh, my body conducts electricity because we're made of rubber. I don't really feel that the armor was I don't even know what the point of it was. It was so quick and gone. I was like, what? That's it? But yeah, it was just, this episode was just boring. I did find it funny though when the guy's like, oh, we can't go in there because it's secure personnel only. Well, we kind of need to go in there. You're like, yeah, because that's where the monster's going to be.
Well, yeah, when he said that it's limited, I was like, okay, the skiff environment is where the monster's going to be because it's the only area that the least amount of people will be able to go into. And for anybody who's not familiar, a skiff is a secure working environment. But I will admit that was silly, and it kind of felt really like a throwaway episode. Like, we need to have something that is going to be kind of just biding time in a way.
Yeah, that one I was not a fan of at all.
Episode 5, I will admit I'm a little iffy on it myself. Like, it did do that character development for the chief.
For Bond.
Which I find funny that his name is Bond. What was his name in Opera Ranger?
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Okay, hold on a minute. Why can't I think of his name now? Alba Ranger. Okay. Jesus. What was his name in Alba Ranger? Rio.
Ryoga
Yes.
Hakya. Okay. Now I was just wondering because I was like, was his name Bon?
No, Bon was Deca Ranger.
That's what I had to think about.
Now
too.
I'm wondering though if he's actually named after the actor Daisuke Bon.
Who's Daisuke Bon?
Another Toku actor.
Why would he be named after another?
Just a tribute.
Is Daisuke Bon dead?
No.
Oh, okay. Well.
Okay, just.
But for the episode, so basically just a quick rundown for anybody who has not seen it. It's an episode where in this like kind of canyon, they find this skull of an ancient dinosaur that admittedly turns out to be a kaiju. But technically, if you think about it, really, dinosaurs could be considered kaiju just based on really the meaning of it because they're giant beasts, essentially. But so this professor, who is a paleontologist, is on TV talking about how where the skull was found, it used to be an ocean, which kind of makes sense because really all of Japan used to be an ocean. And then we kind of get a little backstory at that moment where we find out that Yuma is a super fan of the show. And then when they go out to the site, they find out that their chief actually was kind of a student and that he actually also did a lot of digging for fossils while he was a kid, which, as you had mentioned while we were watching,
which is funny because he's from Alba Ranger, so.
But he also was a researcher in Alba Ranger too, I thought.
Was he? I don't remember.
But I thought it was kind of fitting, especially the Alba Ranger tribute in a way. But you find out after the next day that water just kind of rises in and it has the same taste as seawater, that they were not sure if somehow
there was a monster or if it was just.
And initially they couldn't find a monster because when they did like initial testing, they found that the salt levels kind of decreased or increased as it went further down. So they wondered if maybe when the water came in through, it just hit like the fossilized salt, and opened it up. And they started letting people come back home from evacuation. However, you clearly could tell this was Japan for one particular reason. A mom on screen was talking to a reporter and she's like, my kids are so happy to go back to school. And I'm like, this is Japan. Because in America,
no kid would be happy. Or very rarely would kids be happy.
You'd probably have a small population. Maybe she is the small population in Japan. But with the way they emphasize school so much, I'm like, damn. How boring is home for kids if they just must want to go back to school? Admittedly, when I was younger, for a number of different reasons, I won't get into here, there was times where I loved going to school because I wasn't home. But when I got older and could find other things to do, that's when I stopped really caring about school. I don't think you ever liked going to school.
It depended.
Because it would interrupt your TV time.
I could watch so many Godzilla movies during that time when I had to go to school.
That's why I said it interrupted your TV time.
But seriously, though, I liked the episode for the most part. I liked the kaiju. The kaiju was pretty awesome.
It was kind of like an anglerfish / whale because its spigot, which literally had the sound effects of like a spigot. It was kind of cool, and its mouth.
Well, and I like the underwater sequences, especially when he's got all the smog or whatever going on in there. Not smog, but
Salt.
going on in there, so it's blinding, and you have that really cool dramatic music going as he's just swimming around him and attacking him from all different directions, and he can't figure out where he's coming from.
Well,
that was pretty cool.
Absolutely. No, I thought this story was really well done. And I, by no means my favorite. 3 is my favorite, but I doubt this will be my second favorite, depending on how the rest of the series goes. But I truly did enjoy it because its storytelling was really well done, and getting a little bit more development for.
Well, I also liked when we had before he appeared when which one?
Yuppie.
Well, the head.
Yeah, I thought it was Yuppie and Peabody.
U-Bot and Peabody.
Oh yes.
U-Bot is going in there, and he's just like, salt's at 35%. Okay, and you just see this eye open. He's like, oh, this is going on. Oh, there's a giant eye in here.
And then Peabody
or U-Bot?
U-Bot just books it. And then I did like the acting from the chief and the professor in that plastic inflatable canoe, which I think was the best ship to have for this, where they kind of have to fall around and move it. I was like, you don't even have to really act in those things. You just move an inch and it just billows everywhere. I know from experience. I hated those fucking types of boats. But it was a lot of fun.
I also did like the interaction between Bon and the professor when they're talking about their past things. And I found it funny though, because we got Yuma goes to tell them breakfast is ready, and he just hears them having this serious conversation. So he just stands there and waits. So like they're talking for on, and then after they get done, he's like, "Hey, breakfast is ready." It's like, "Yeah, breakfast is probably cold as hell by now." Like, "Oh, why is our breakfast so cold? Where were you? We were waiting for you like for 20 minutes now."
No, breakfast wouldn't be cold. If this was America, outside of Silver Quills, because Silver Quills is the nicest human being when it comes to food, the rest of our friends group would have already eaten breakfast by the time they all got there. Because sadly, we've done that to Silver Quills.
Their food would have been cold.
But overall, I guess not going to the last comment first, but just because it does work out. How are you thinking of the series so far?
I mean, we're 5 episodes in. I'm not hating it, but I won't say right now it's a favorite of mine for the Ultras. It definitely is not anywhere near the level of Blazer. It is better than Decker and Trigger for sure. But right now, I'm kind of like, yeah, it's your basic Ultra show. It's what you expect from an Ultra series.
But I don't feel really, from some of the other Ultra series I've seen, including Decker and Trigger, that I don't feel it's like a by-the-book copy and paste. That they're trying to be a little bit more creative with it. It kind of gives me like a cross between Blazer and Kira Major.
I think the other thing right now is we don't know what the main plot is still going to be yet.
Well, no. I think that's the hard part. But as I was talking to him about Taiga earlier, I really don't feel like I know what that plot's about either.
We're 14 episodes in that show, and so far it's like, cool. When is Trigger going to actually do something?
Trigger. Oh, Trigger. I thought it sounded like you said Trigger. I was like, wrong show.
Trigger. He is like, okay, he's just there. He's not doing anything. He's just giggling, dressing up like Monokuma, and okay.
Pretty much. But, so, just looking at the comments, we have Anthony, who so far has been enjoying Arc, which I have as well. I have no complaints or anything like that. And then Star Wars fan brings up a good point that Blazer never spoke, he just grunted. I actually disagree.
Yeah.
He said why.
Oh yes, it was
A lot.
Why?
He always said why.
Why?
But
Why?
yes, technically Blazer never actually spoke, but I actually believe he said why all the time.
Why would you think that?
And then I like Star Wars' other comment about Japanese people in their 20s seem to look like they're teenagers. Truthfully, everyone in their early 20s can tend to look significantly younger depending on, I really feel, their lifestyle. I have met people who lived hard, and even in their early 20s, I'm like, damn, you look significantly older. Admittedly, one of our friends, when I first met him in our mid-20s, I thought he was closer to 40. So everybody is a little bit different on their skin treatment, on how they live.
Well, just think of the students earlier this year who were like, you can't be 41 because my dad's 41 as well, and he's way older looking than you.
That's very true, which still boggles my mind. But it makes complete sense because there's people who don't even believe my age half the time. And then we have Sweet Salva Mommy says, hello, Godzilla fan guy. Glitch is back. Do you know who Glitch is?
Glitch.
He knew you when you still considered me your girlfriend.
Oh. It was like a decade ago. What?
No, it is absolutely fine. Honestly, we're not by the book officially married, but we've been together for so significantly long. We took advantage of our state's common law practices to be able to officially call ourselves married. So honestly, I don't care. As long as you don't call me his mistress, that works.
Or mother.
Oh, wait, somebody called me your mother?
No, just thinking about it.
Okay, yeah. Please don't ever call me his mother. His mother is very satanic.
Don't insult the Satan. But, let's see. Sweet Salva Mommy. I mean,
You know a lot of people, but you may know that individual. But they remember you.
Cuckoo. Let's see. I like Blazer when he said his first word. He said Ginto catchphrase both in Japanese and English. Let's see. If you two were to ever go to Japan, what would you want to check out? Shibuya?
I was going to say his entire time would be in Akihabara.
Well, no.
No, I'm kidding.
Also, as many old temples as we can go to.
So for me, I personally, if it's not too taboo, I would love to visit somewhat around the sites where the memorials are for the bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, just because I definitely do feel, especially because my grandfather was a part of World War II, that we should honor all of the innocent people who really didn't have anything directly with the war being punished for the actions of their government. Just like if we go to different places here in the US. But I would like to go visit that. Same thing with historical temples. Obviously, I would love to visit all the ridiculous shopping centers that would have Toys to Extreme. I'd probably have to bring extra suitcases just to buy stuff.
It'd be better just to ship them.
Yes, but it would also be cool just to see one of our friends who's lived there for so long that we haven't really been able to chat with or see face to face in a very long time. Anything else that you would like to see in the Japan's?
Some of the sites from Toku shows.
Oh God, we are not going to a gravel pit.
No, I'm not thinking of gravel pit.
Okay, thank
I
you.
was thinking of like that amusement park that's in every series.
Admittedly, the only place I do not want to go to is the house that Ring was filmed in. Not
You
Ring.
mean Juon?
Juon. Even if it's not fucking haunted, I do not want to go in there and step inside. I might not actually step inside any private residences when I'm in Japan. I might just stay to like public spaces like a hotel or a restaurant. And if somebody's like, do you want to see my house? No. I'm sorry. No disrespect. I just don't want to go into anyone's
I've
private
seen enough
residence.
horror movies to know that might be a bad idea.
Exactly. I will say I have a hard time thinking about if I were to ever live in Japan about owning a home. I might have to do a new build. And even then I'd be like terrified.
Okay. Has the ground ever had any murder on it?
I know, like, please.
Has anyone been hit by a car over here? Has anyone been found dead over here?
Just I would have a lot of concerns.
What do you mean this was built on a Japanese soldier burial ground?
Oh, I know.
No, you didn't. Well, not by my recollection.
But yeah, it's kind of funny in all honesty. But in truth, I would probably also, just because I'm me, want to take a walk through the red light district and actually check into a hotel, like a Love hotel, just to see if it really looks like the way it does in all the shit I've seen. I have curiosity. I have questions.
I have questions too.
Oh my God, you know I would do that. Stop looking at me like that. All right. And then Star Wars fan says, I guess kids in Japan love school more than Americans. In truth, I think it's probably the same everywhere, that you're going to have a bunch of kids who
it's not really the mother that the kids are happy to go back to school. It's the mother's happy that her kids can go back to school.
Yes. By the way, how are you enjoying Zenkaiger during your rewatch?
Yeah.
Now, the question should be, how committed is he to continuously performing said rewatch?
What do you mean? I've been rewatching it no different than I've done with other shows.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of finding any other given excuse when you can to not?
No.
Remember, I live with you.
Yeah. And when you weren't here, I watched 11, 12 episodes and the really boring Saber crossover movie.
11 to 12 episodes, that's it?
Yeah, because I was also working on other reviews at the time.
I think you're lying.
Cool. I don't care. Silver Crow was over too. In fact, one of the reasons I ended up watching another episode when I did is because he's like, hey, let's watch that episode. I like that one. Because it was he came over when I was watching the Retro World episode where the TV guy turned everything into retro-like.
Have you gotten to the episode where the villains actually won?
No, I haven't got to the Vacation World yet.
Which is kind of funny because there's an episode where the villains of any Sentai has legitimately won and never followed through with it.
No, I think I'm like 2 or 3 episodes away from that, I think. Because I stopped at the Saber, because I did the Saber crossover. Well, the Saber episode that had, what's his name? Zox go to Saber World and steal the brother's sword. So they traversed back to Zenkaiger World, and then they fought whoever it was in there. I can't remember now. It's because we had Majine and the others, the female Saber rider.
Oh yeah, no, I remember now.
And then they
Um,
left, and then I did the movie, which
But let's see, does Bandora's gang winning count unless that never happened? Did Bandora win in Jew Ranger?
well, they did when they in the Dragon Ranger arc where they thought they destroyed Daijujin, and the Jew Rangers lost their powers for 5 minutes.
Which you think would be where the villains won more? The vacation episode in Zenkaiger or Daijujin?
Well, technically, the villains didn't truly win in Jew Ranger. Vacation World won until Bara Shitara comes in and is like, this isn't fair. Boom.
Okay. Sorry. Every time somebody says name Daijujin, it really to me sounds like legitimate gibberish. And I know it means something in Japanese. It's just it sounds so funny said together because it's so foreign.
How about Daijin Ryu?
That doesn't sound as much like gibberish like Daijujin. But I could wax on about this, but I think we should call it good here.
Well, I'm trying to think if there was any other scene that stuck out to me in these 3 episodes of Arc. The opening song is still kind of meh for me. The ending theme's starting to grow on me a little bit, but the moment we stopped watching, they kind of just left my head. So, still not really impressed with the opening endings. I don't know what it is. Ultraman just most of the time they just pale in comparison to Sentai and Rider openings. The only one, like Blazer's opening, I can still hear when I want to when I think about it, but not most of the other ones. For most of the shows in the last decade.
It depends. It depends on what it is. I will admit though, more of the Sentai songs or the Kamen Rider songs definitely stick with me more. And
even Garo openings would usually stick, but
Garo openings typically wouldn't stick for me.
Oh, they would. But I don't know what it is. The Ultraman ones is like the moment I stop watching the show, they're gone.
But isn't that supposed to be the purpose of the closing song? Once you get to the end of the episode,
Oh, even the openings though, they're just gone. And I don't know what it is.
The songs I wish that would go away for me are truly the Space Sheriff openings and closings.
Those aren't bad.
Or any of the Metal Heroes. I am not a fit. All right. When they came out in the 80s, they're part of that 80s style of music that was still incorporating a lot of the bland tracks, I feel, from the 70s. And they're incorporating them to the 80s because even some of the 80s music in America was like that. If they had no uniqueness to it, that it was very standard, the 4-key utilization of doing music. They're earwormy, but they're not, to me, they're not good earworms.
Okay.
Just because, I don't know.
Whatever. But anyway,
what Kamen Rider openings do you like?
Well, Break the Chain from Kiva is like my favorite. Blade's openings, Ryuki's opening, Agito's Kuga's.
Okay, let's do this because you'll name off a lot of different series. Showa, from what you've seen, what's your favorite opening?
For Kamen Rider?
Yes.
Black.
For Heisei.
Phase 1?
Phase 1.
Kiva, Break the Chain.
For Phase 2.
Phase 2 probably builds.
And then Reiwa.
It's actually a tie between Live Devil and Trust Last. Because the more I heard Trust Last, the more it grew
You
on.
understood what Silver Quill loved about it so much.
It's just it really, once I actually was listening to it on Blu-ray and stuff, I was like, that actually is a pretty good opening. But it works because the thing is that both Live Devil and Trust Last, the thing I love about them is because you do have a male and female singing both songs.
So I can't speak enough to Showa, because really my only reference points are Black and Black RX. And I'm not going to choose just only knowing two. For Heisei Phase 1, I will admit Break the Chain is my favorite. For Heisei Phase 2, the more I've listened to the different openings to it, you're actually going to hate what my favorite opening
Better not be Ghost.
It is. I love Ghost's opening song because it is almost like a form of 90s rock. Not 90s alternative, but just 90s rock.
Well, at least it's not X8.
Oh, God, no. And then when going to Reiwa, it admittedly is Live Devil. Because I really like the musicality of it, especially because I'm not a tried and true pop fan. I do like all music, but I like the musicality of it, especially having Vice's actor helping out with different elements of the song. I thought that was a great bridging of the two together. But Trust Last is a really good song as well, but I will say Live Devil. But I think, unless we go down this, Deno's first opening is kind of boring. The second version, they like this. A Star Wars fan likes the second one.
I don't even remember the Deno's opening.
Honestly, I actually don't remember Deno's openings either, and I actually enjoyed Deno.
It's the last Heisei series before Decade I need to review. But it's going to be a while because I'm going to have V3, and Kaider, and Ultraman Blazer, G-Bon. I got to finish Taiga. I got to finish Zenkaiger, Don Brothers, King Oger. I'm busy over the next 12 months.
And then if you didn't get to check it out, we did introduce a new series yesterday of Kaiju no Kami versus AI. We released the first episode, which is a Super Sentai Showdown, talking about what AI has derived as the most influential Super Sentai series. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely encourage you to do so. We have recorded a few other videos as well as...
We recorded 5 episodes yesterday.
Including one for Doctor Who.
2 for Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah, we did 2.
We did best and we did worst for classic.
Yes.
All right. As always, click like, subscribe, the bell notification, whatever else YouTube has you clicking in to support us. You can support us on Instagram, Facebook, Discord at Kaiju no Kami, and Patreon and Bluesky at tokuaannetwork. Network. Also, the website is creativitybydesignllc.com. You can buy cool Kaiju no Kami merchandise at creativitybydesignllc.com/shop. There's also a link in the description below. And tell us what you guys thought of these episodes in the comments. And anything else that comes to mind for Ultraman Arc, or are you excited for what Discotech had announced? I know I asked that in my news report I had released earlier as well. But let us know. And until next time.
Bye. Still hate you.
End stream.